GameCube sucks. GameCube is one of the best consoles to ever come out. Like, change my mind. Like, what about the GameCube sucks? Because that was one of the best consoles ever released. The games onto that system, oh, there's so many iconic games. It was ugly, okay, but that's because it was a cube. Let's go ahead. Let's fast forward to 2022 when our consoles are a tuxedo in the PS5 and a literal refrigerator for the Xbox. The Xbox actually is just a bigger GameCube if you think about it. What about that? The Xbox is just a bigger GameCube. So if you don't like the GameCube, then you must also not like the Xbox, because the Xbox is just a bigger GameCube. That's all. Game Boy is a superior, like the original Game Boy. Like, which Game Boy are we talking? Because there's like 8 of them. So like, we talking about like the original Game Boy, the Game Boy Pocket, the Game Boy Color, the Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy Advance SP. And then of course we got the Game Boy Micro. So you got me talking about stuff, and now I died. It's all your fault. The OG, that was like on like an 8-bit screen with no color, with no backlight. That was the best console. I disagree. Do I think it was iconic and like groundbreaking and like super ahead of its time? Yes, absolutely. But in hindsight, it's really bad. If we look at the GameCube right now, the GameCube still holds up to this day. Not graphically in most cases, but there's some that actually still kind of hold up today. But like, the GameCube is so good. Genesis was groundbreaking. I also agree. But the GameCube is timeless. The games on the GameCube are leagues far and above almost everything that came out of that same time period. Like, that's just that's just facts. You have so many different iconic games on the GameCube for all kinds of different people. Like, so many different demographics, like, have a game that they played on the GameCube. It wasn't like Xbox or PlayStation where you like had Call of Duty and Halo, or like Assassin's Creed and stuff like that, where you like had a few good games that came out and like a few good franchises. There was hundreds of fantastic games on the GameCube that everybody's just like, man, I love that game. I want to go back and play that game. Now, there's not many consoles out there that people can say that. You only remember Rayman? What about like Super Smash Bros. Melee? Sonic Adventure Battle 2, Pokemon Coliseum, Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, Twilight Princess, the Ocarina of Time Master Quest. Like, there were so many good games. And granted, one of those is a remake, but like, those are some of the ones from my childhood that I'm just like, man, that game was so good. I wish I still had that. Ty the Tasmanian Tiger. Yes, it came out on other consoles, but I played it on GameCube. Billy Hatcher, Super Monkey Ball, Super Mario Sunshine, the Star Fox game. Like, even though there's a lot of like backtracking and stuff, and it's looked upon really negatively within like a lot of people, like for a lot of communities, but even that game was ahead of its time. It was kind of like the precursor to like Breath of the Wild, where you had an open world storyline type thing, even though it was a relatively linear story overall, but like, it was still kind of open world because you had so much backtracking. A lot of those games I only played on 64. Well, all the games with the exception of like Ocarina of Time came out on the GameCube. So if you played them on the N64, you would be lying, because they weren't on that console. Like, the original Super Smash Bros. Was, but Melee specifically was on GameCube, and that is one of the most popular fighting games to this day. Nintendo is literally launching a circuit for Melee this upcoming year. Like, that game is 20 years old and is still getting new followers. I don't know. Like, GameCube is like, and it's probably like mostly nostalgia, right? Because like, that was the most time that I spent gaming for the most part. Granted, my favorite game of all time is Halo 3, because I think that is the actual best game. Because it was perfect. But like for the most part, most of my gaming was done on the GameCube.